What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be something a little different. So we got a vintage cart here. It is a 1986 MXK Phase 3. Kirk found it on Facebook Marketplace for 500 bucks. She'd been wanting a project for a while and something to restore and work on and tinker with. So this was a hell of a deal. 500 bucks, you can't go wrong. It's in really good shape. I don't think it's going to need a lot of work. It came with everything. It came with an engine, so we'll see how this goes. We'll document the process here and the restoration process, I guess, but I don't think it'll need a lot. It is a complete cart. It has everything, so we'll see how it goes. So like I said, it's a complete cart. It has everything: tires, wheels, a whole 9 yards. The tires are actually in pretty decent shape. They got a lot of rubber on them. They're nice and thick. The powder coat looks fine. Well, it's a little rough, but we're going to repowder coat it. So I don't think this dark blue is the original color. I think this light blue here might be the original powder coat. So she's already got that ordered, and we're going to get this stripped down and head to the powder coater. So we're going to get it powder coated back to this light blue, which I think was original. But it's a full working rolling cart, and it's in really good shape for its age. I think it's kind of impressive. So I don't think it'll need a whole lot. Honestly, I think it just needs like taken apart and cleaned up, and, you know, tie rods and Nerf bars and whatnot polished up. So I think it'll be good. It also came with an entire box of parts. Here we have 3 brand new tires. We have a new clutch basket. We have all kinds of gears, hubs, a catch can, a whole ass carburetor, other random parts. I think these are bearing hangers, maybe. I don't know a lot about it. It has a motor mount for a KT100, which I think is what she's going to want to put on it. Spark plugs. It even came with this engine over here. So it's a Honda GC190. I'm pretty sure it came off of a power washer, but it doesn't run right. So I have some videos of that. I'll throw that in here right now. It needs a jet.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think it needs a jet, and I actually kind of fucked that up. So I think it needed a bigger jet, and I drilled the jet out and I made it way too big. So now it super doesn't run right, but it's okay because we put a Predator on there. So we're gonna see how it runs and how it drives and make sure nothing's actually broken. But it also came with an extra axle, just all kinds of stuff. I think there's multiple clutches. So there's one on here. There's one on the Predator, and then I think there's a third one that's like a parts clutch that didn't have like some springs or stuff in it. And then she is hand painting.
If you have to.
The number plates for it, which I think is awesome. I think that's a super cool, like, old school detail. So I think that's cool. So we're gonna go probably fire up the Predator and see how this thing drives and runs, which I know the Predator itself will run fine, but see how the cart handles, I guess, and how it goes up and down the street. And then she'll probably get started tearing this thing apart so she can get it powder coated and get it looking good. And I think the search will start for a period correct engine, so she can head to some vintage races and see how this thing is. I forgot to mention, it also came with this tack, and this thing is like super cool. It's an old Digitron tack, and it looks like it's in really good shape. So I think her plan is to actually mount this on the cart and, you know, get it as close to accurate as it can be. I don't know if it'll work or not. I honestly have no clue. I would assume it just needs batteries, I guess. I don't really know anything about this tack because it's way before my time. But I think she's wanting to put this on the cart too and just make it as close to original as she can get it. So that's pretty cool. I like that it came with this. So definitely a good find for $500. It came with a lot of stuff, and the cart itself looks nice, so I think it'll be a fun little project, and hopefully we can get it done and get it out this year for one of the vintage shows. Like I said, we put the Predator on here just to see how this thing drives and goes up and down the street. This is actually the Predator I got off of Dan to race this year, so whoops, I guess. We weren't allowed to run it in Kentucky, and I don't think either one of us have a whole lot of interest in actually racing it at Cridersville, so we threw it on the vintage cart here just to see how this thing drives. I think race rules state you have to have the governor intact and working, and I took that off. There's no governor on here anymore. I just completely bypassed it. So if some point we do decide to run this thing, I might have to take it back to Dan to get it back together, because I don't know how to put it back together. But as far as the vintage cart goes here, we put a new throttle cable on it because that was old and gross and it was like way too short. We put a new fuel line on it. The one that was on it was hard and crusty and terrible. New fuel filter, obviously. So that's about all we've done so far. It's just the fuel line and the throttle cable and the filter just to get it running, basically. But I think it'll go up and down the street okay. Everything spins. It does have like a weird gear on it. It has like a 53 on it, and I have no idea what's on the clutch. This is a clutch that came with the cart in that box, so I don't know how old it is or what's on it or anything. But we'll get this thing fired up and see how it goes up and down the street, and hopefully there's nothing else wrong. So it's basically as easy as just tearing it apart and cleaning it up. These now. right, well, as you saw, everything on this thing seems all right. Nothing seems broke or bent. We didn't lose a wheel, wasn't throwing the chain off, ran up and down the street real well. So I think mechanically it is okay. So I think really all we need to do is take it apart and get it cleaned up. She's gonna get it powder coated, and then we'll find the correct engine for it. I think she's actually gonna end up going the flathead route instead. Just a little easier to come by, I guess, and maybe a little beginner friendly than what the KT100 would be from talking to some other vintage kart people. So I say that was a couple solid test runs up and down the road because everything seems to be in pretty good shape. So I guess that'll be that. We're just gonna get it apart and cleaned up and powder coated and see if we can find a flathead, which I actually have 2 flatheads from back when I was a kid running like gold plate and stuff. So maybe we'll drag those out and get them freshened up for it. We'll see. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do this rental kart restoration thing. I know this will be part 1. So it'll definitely be in parts. I just don't know how many, and I don't know when the next one will be. It all depends on when she wants to start working on it. So enjoy part 1, stay tuned for part 2, and hopefully we can see a finished product here before the end of summer.